for that.
Hi guys, John Adams at dadbloguk.com here, and I'm at the O2 store in White City, and I'm here with Raymond, an O2 guru, and we are going to be talking online parental controls.
Yeah, welcome. Hey guys.
Delighted to be here. We're going to be talking about a subject that's very close to my heart. It's online safety, online parental controls, and about the campaign that O2 is running in collaboration with the NSPCC. Now, Raymond, you know quite a bit about...
Just a little bit,
We've got to see you. See, this is live. You know a lot about online safety, setting up parental controls. Now, what advice would you give to parents who are setting up parental controls on a device?
So definitely to parents, when we're discussing just in general how to keep their kids safe online, it's best that they're educated and they understand what it is that they need to give to their children to ensure that useful tools and education is pretty much the key tool into making sure they know what their kids are doing when they're not around, or after a few hours on an iPad or on their Xbox, they're able to know that their kids won't access any content that would be detrimental towards their kind of development, or just anything that they see on a daily basis, really.
Yeah, now you raised a very good point there, because of course I'm a dad of two. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and I have got an 8-year-old daughter. And their needs and what they do online, well, they do some things that are similar, but they have got their own interests. So what advice would you give to people, or how does your advice change depending on the age of the children involved?
So John, as you said, you've got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yes.
So realistically, they would have some similarities, but just based on their age differences alone, they would have differences in what they're interested in, what they're searching on. Some may be just playing games, others are more in social media formats. So it's to kind of have early, regular and informed conversations with those children, just kind of work out what it is they do in their spare time, so you could cater the settings and parental controls to kind of suit each of their needs, rather than kind of that one rule fits all sort of mentality. So
okay, there is a theme you're coming up with that I'm picking up on, which is
conversations.
Having conversations with your kids and keeping them going, and this must apply whether your kid is 3 or 18.
So you hit the nail on the head. Conversations are like pivotal, because if someone feels they can trust in you, they will be more open and willing to tell you what they're doing in their spare time, and it will kind of ensure that you could give them useful advice that was kind of catered to what it was they were using it for. So conversations are amazing when someone just can say, all right Dad, I'm a bit unsure about this part of the internet, and you to clear it up. That whole sort of interaction will forever remain in that child's mind and yourself, because now you both have formed a bond over what they do.
Okay, and actually you've got me thinking about something else there that we were talking about just earlier, which is that mum and dad, yes, we can be guilty of this, we can be guilty of thinking that we know more than we actually do, when our children possibly know more about the online services they're using. Is that a fair point?
That is a valid point. That is so valid. And the way that the digital age is kind of progressing and moving forward, it's constantly changing. So to be clued up and make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on is hard enough for us gurus, let alone a parent who may have not used any of the latest social media apps or just online in the last few years. So that would forever be changing. So it's best that they are aware of what news about. And you could access that through NetAware, which is an NSPCC site, to kind of find out about the 50 most popular sites. And just learn a bit more about them. So when you're talking to your child, you've got a bit of knowledge behind what you're saying.
Okay, fantastic. And a lot of people are going to be hearing us talking. They know you're from O2. They're hearing great things about online safety and parental controls, but they're probably thinking, I'm not an O2 customer. I can't book an appointment with an O2 guru, which is a service you offer, isn't it, to set up those controls and like. What's the situation
there?
So
you've hit the nail. There is a common misconception that if you're not an O2 customer, you won't be able to seek any help or advice from any of our gurus or any of our services. Children's safety as a whole is something which isn't exclusive to O2. So it's our job to ensure that we can train any adults and give them just useful a guide to ensure that they know what they're doing. So if you're an O2 customer or you're another network provider, by all means you could book an appointment with us or walk into O2 White City and we'll happily sit down with you for as much time as we have. If you do want a dedicated hour, the best place would be to go online and book an appointment, and then we can just share all our knowledge with yourself.
Okay. And again, I'll go through the web address and so on at the end of this, but just so people know, they can get more information from the NSPCC at nspcc.org.uk. nspcc.org.uk/O2. That's right, isn't it, Raymond?
That is correct. Yeah, that is
perfect.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Now we've just had Christmas, and I'm sure my kids are no different. There have been one or two electronic devices that go into the house, new ones. So most households, they've got Xbox, tablets. Mobile phones, the lot. Children often have access to the lot, whether they're meant to or not. Can you standardise parental controls across all platforms, or is that not possible?
You wouldn't be able to standardise it across all platforms. There are some in phone cases. We're looking at like Apple or Android. We would be able to manipulate those controls. There's some information on the O2 Guru website, on the YouTube channel, but as a whole you can't standardise controls, but it is key to kind of mention that any electronic device can allow a gateway into anything. So whether that's an Xbox or an iPad, whether that's a phone, you can still access content that you shouldn't really be able to.
I'm thinking about my own experiences here. I can think back to a time when my oldest daughter is now 8, when she was 3, and I was downstairs in the kitchen and things just suspiciously went quiet. And I went upstairs and I found her led out on the landing with my mobile phone. And to my amazement, she'd figured out the password just from watching me use the phone. And my youngest daughter, she's figured out how to use an iPad through watching me input the password. Have you got any advice on, say, setting passwords?
So again, it's one of those things where kids are just so intelligent nowadays. They access digital, they access tech just at an earlier age than a lot of other people would have. So again, there is amazing opportunities out there, but there's, in your instance, if they know the passwords to any of the app stores or into anything that can allow in-app purchases, that's when you could be surprised the next month when you come to a £200 bill. So again, in those parental controls, there should be little just checkpoints of what you can toggle on and off, whether that's in-app purchases that you only want to block, or whether that's any content that would allow in-app purchases. So it's just definitely good to read up about that, and if you are in doubt, come into O2 store and we'll be happy to offer you some more assistance.
Because that was one of the points I wanted to make, was that parental controls, they don't just protect children, do they? They protect mum and dad.
They protect the adult, and that is so important, because the bank balance, when I tell you, it would be a shame if you saw a bill that was skyrocketed.
And I have to ask, have you had anyone come into the store who's experienced
So I have had parents come in more disgruntled, again, varying reasons, but one springs to mind where a mother had bought her child an iPad, and she used to put a plaster over the camera of the iPad, which was, to me, it was, I could see where her logic was going with that, but to me that's like such a polar opposite of what you'd need to do. So she put a plaster over the camera because she felt as though someone could access the camera and watch her children play on the games and stuff. So again, and her partner was the opposite end. He was like, it's just an iPad, just give it to them and let them play with it. So again, it's all about education and what we can do to better equip the parents to know how to handle those situations.
And just thinking about online parental controls again, I'm thinking of my youngest, who will sometimes watch, say, YouTube Kids, and she will use the voice-activated commands. But when she goes online, it's only ever with an adult in the room, and we do have the highest parental controls set. But if you've got any specific advice, say, for parents who've got concerns about those voice-activated controls, because of course it's true that kids don't actually have to read or write these days.
It's true. A lot of it is toggled on again. So again, we have a dedicated helpline advice. So if you need, if in doubt at all, you can contact that number, which we will include. But that would be the best way, we would say, if you're unsure about the voice activation, if you're unsure about the best way to block any extreme content, it would be through contacting us first. Just making sure you're doing the right thing. because it might not always be dangerous, it could just be harmless, and we've got to just make sure that we facilitate an environment where everyone can enjoy tech and what we have to offer. So
and as you've mentioned age ratings there, parental controls, are they fallible? You know, just because you've got them set up?
Yeah, so again, it's not going to be the key. It will help, it will deal with a large majority of any concerns you do have, but it won't be the key. There will have to be other things that go alongside it that strengthen it. So early, regular, informed conversations, parental controls, seeking advice yourself, education. If you have all 4 of those in place, you shouldn't be running into too many obstacles.
Okay. And as an O2 guru, when you've got mums and dads, grandparents probably even, coming in here with devices to get them set up and get this parental control set up, what are the most common queries that you're actually seeing?
So a lot of the parents who are concerned about whether the controls are enough, as you've just asked yourself. And you've kind of got to break down any misconceptions and let them know that multiple users can be created as well, and that it can help parents, as we've discussed earlier, as well as kids. It's not just about stopping your kids from accessing content. It's about as well you being ensured and kind of an insurance that nothing else will allow or manipulate your bank balance or so forth in that regard.
Right, Raymond, is there, it's been a great conversation, great chat here. Is there anything in particular that I should have mentioned, or any particular advice you'd like to get across? Because if so, now's your chance.
Yeah, so again, like it was pretty much around you yourself. You said you had kids.
Yes, indeed.
It was because we do, Elizabeth, right?
Elizabeth
and Helen.
Izzy and Helen.
Izzy and Helen, sorry, no. So you said you had kids, and what sort of steps, like you mentioned that you've got Xbox and multiple different tablets, what sort of steps do you take to ensure your children are kind of kept safe?
We have got an Xbox, which the kids, they've only got the one game actually loaded on it, which is Minecraft, and I set it up, and I set it up on purpose so it couldn't go online, because I don't want Helen or Izzy going online and playing with strangers. They're too young for that. What I actually did, you said you could have constant conversations with your children. I sat down with them both and I explained exactly why. It sort of went over the head of Izzy a bit. She's a little bit too young, but Helen understands. She gets it. The kids do use an iPad. We've got the highest possible parental controls set on that. And although it can be used online, we don't let the kids use it online unless we're actually in the room. There are other, obviously my wife and I've got our own phones. There are some controls set on that, but we generally just have to sort of lock them away and make sure that the kids don't use them. And as I've said, everything is passwords protected as
well as it can be. No, definitely.
I think actually chatting to you, there's a lot I'm going to go back and review.
There is, and there's a few bits again that we might have not touched upon as well, as like cyberbullying.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. That is a major part in, like, nearly, they say, a third of kids will experience some form of cyberbullying. Yeah. So it's kind of, with those conversations, they won't feel afraid to come back and to be their safe haven and say, look, Dad, I feel like someone's been making some remarks about me. I'm not too happy online. And that kind of keeps creating this trust and this bond. So later on, when she becomes 16 and she's maybe meeting someone through an online social service or some service, you can kind of regulate. You know already what she was doing and how she was going about that.
Right, guys, well, thanks ever so much for tuning in, and thank you, Raymond, for your time. Just to recap on a couple of points, I think the main thing that I've taken away from this is having those constant conversations with your children. They are going to grow up, their needs and what they're using online are going to change, and the technology is going to change. And don't think that just because you're the grown-up you know how it works, because your kids may know better. Now, if you want more information about the NSPCC and O2 campaign, if you want to book an appointment with an O2 guru and so on, nspcc.org.uk/O2. I'll say that again, nspcc.org.uk/O2. You can also follow the hashtag innocentsearches. So thanks ever so much for tuning in, guys. My name's John Adams at dabloguk.com. Until next time.
Hey, take care, guys. Bye.